Welcome to Parent Matters. And earlier than Parent Matters than we ever expected because of a certain situation that reminds me of why this show's important, not just to connect parents to teachers, but to open the avenue for people to talk about situations as well as what we said in the first episode, which is the plan to have a communication venue that I don't know and haven't seen much of. In this situation, it is a video I didn't know anything about. I had the day off. I touched base with James, and he said, "Hey, you want to do a recording?" As I was getting ready to say, "Let's start building the next show." So, without further ado, and a term I hate using, here's James. Fill us in and tell us why we have jumped into this.
Hi, Tom. Well, you said it perfectly. I reached out to you today and wanted to let you know about what's going on. I've been following it for the past few days or so, but it's really gaining national attention, and it's exactly what we envisioned talking about on here, getting an open forum of just, opinions and advice. So there was a very unfortunate situation that happened in around the Daytona Beach area, and we're based in Central Florida for this podcast. But at Madison High School, a special needs student attacked a paraprofessional. I am a paraprofessional. That is what I do. We are supporting staff for the teachers. And in my career as a paraprofessional, I've always worked in the special needs. It's referred to as ESE, Exceptional Student Education. That is what I've done. And as shocking as this is, and we're going to discuss it, for the untrained eye, for people that don't know about this, it's not very surprising for me. But that's why I really want to hear people's opinions and thoughts on this. So if you don't mind, Tom, I'm just going to dive right into it. So a pair was attacked.
Now, hang on. Do you want me to roll the video, or you had mentioned to me you had some kind of article or something? Do you want to go into the
See,
article first, or do you want to do the video? How do you want to do this, brother?
I'd like to read the article first, if
Okay,
that's
great.
okay.
No, that's awesome. I want to hear what you got to say because, like I said, okay, I just want to interrupt enough to say that this is something that I didn't know about, but when I watched the video with you briefly for when you told me about this, for somebody that doesn't have kids, it opens a bunch of questions. So again, that's the reason for the show. Now, please fill us in on this article.
And that's beautifully put, Tom, because people without children and people that have children that are not in the ESE community, this is still something that's going on. So I would love to share to set up the video. It's an article from USA Today. So I'm going to read you just a little bit of it. So Daytona Beach, Florida. The charges against a Florida high school student accused of attacking a high school aide over a video game has been upgraded to adult court, where he now faces a felony, according to the records. A 17-year-old male accused in the assault, which left the woman unconscious, was charged with aggravated battery on a school board employee, a first-degree felony punished up to 30 years in prison.
Wait,
The
so
incident,
this kid's not even 18 yet, and he may not get out until he's 50.
not even 18 yet. Yep, yep. By all means, I don't know the law, but still a minor, I would presume, 17.
Right. Well, I'm assuming they're going to probably look at him as an adult because of the fierceness of the attack. But anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead and finish, and we'll show it.
So back to the report from USA Today. The incident occurred February 21st at Madison High School in Palm Coast, where the woman works as a paraprofessional. Again, that's what I am. Where the woman works as a paraprofessional. According to the charging affidavit, a paraprofessional is assigned to students with individual educational plans according to the district. 100% true. That's what I've been doing. We try to provide more of a one-on-one aspect with our students. And it's not always one-on-one, but we're there for support staff for the teachers. Back to the article. The student stated that he was upset because the victim took his Nintendo Switch away from him during class, according to the release. The video that you are about to watch shows the student kicking and punching, which appears to be an unconscious woman, several times in the back of the head. The teen struck her in the back of the head about 15 times, the affidavit states. So that's just a little bit of the article. I think the video will be more helpful. Again, trigger warning, it's violent, and if this kind of stuff bothers you, I'd recommend not watching. But again, this is a really important topic, and this is things that we would love to cover on the show. And this is why I reached out to Tom, because I think it's very important, and I think we should talk about it.
I agree. As soon as I saw it, I was, like I said, in all honesty, I had planned to call you and start mapping out the next show. This changed everything. So let's get to it. I'm gonna play it at full speed at first, just to make sure, we see the full thing. Wow. He ran out of his pants. He came out so hard. That's oof. James, go ahead, talk. Tell me what you're thinking.
First of all, it's shocking to the untrained eye, and I say that in the nicest way possible. This shouldn't have happened. From what I've been through, and from what I've read, this child is in a self-contained room. Self-contained rooms are where the special needs children do, and that's what I did for many years, are in the same room for the majority of the day. That
Sorry.
doesn't mean
Sorry, we're using Discord, and whenever I go back and click replay, it blanks it out to the screen. I apologize to everybody, but I'd like to take this moment to say that's the whole reason we're getting ready to start up Patreon so we can get everything squared out and do this right. Sorry, James, please go back to what you were saying before. I'd like to start it over again. Stand by and I'll tell you when we are back in frame. Please go.
so. From what I've read and from the articles and from what I've done in the past, this child was most likely in a self-contained room. A self-contained room is many different grades. What I did was grades 1 through 5, I believe,
Yeah,
and
but
they're
this
in that
guy's
room.
17, dude. He's like
Yeah.
high school,
Oh,
right?
he's
So,
yeah, yeah. But so there's also so we're so
but you're
I
doing high school and junior high now, right? I mean,
yep,
this
yep.
age?
Yep, this age, absolutely. But
Okay, okay, cool.
my high school that I work in is all ESC, all special needs. So there are some types of self-contained rooms, but for the most part, we rotate different rooms, we move around.
Okay, wait, I don't mean to interrupt, but you keep saying self-contained room. So this looks like a hallway to me. So therefore this would be a mixed school, not an entirely special needs school? Is that what you're kind of saying here?
So when I say self-contained, think of a public school, which I have been working in. Now I'm in a charter school, but when I worked in the K through 12 self-contained, I had K through 5, and the students spent the majority of the day in that room.
Okay,
So
so
we
kind of like the old one-room schoolhouse situation.
absolutely, but
Okay,
that
so even in this situation, they still could have wait, like it could have been done for the day, right? I mean,
yeah, well,
no, it's what 10:47 and 10:07:49 is what this says. So this is first thing in the morning, pretty much.
so I don't, but so let me just backtrack for a moment. So
Okay,
when I say
sorry.
self, no,
There's just so much to talk about here. I mean,
Oh, there
everything
is.
from how fast people moved to which people moved, what people didn't move. Uh, uh, obviously they're leaving from a class that's down here, and she came out, and then he came after her. So my assumption would be, um, he asked for his game back because he felt like, okay, I left, I didn't touch it through class. Now, uh, give it back. And she said, I'm taking it to the principal or whatever. I don't know. We're guessing now, assuming. But the point of the matter is, he didn't just come out to snatch it from her. He came out to kick her butt. So I'm sorry, please. I'm going to back it up. We're going to go back. Commercials. That's okay. Stand by and please go ahead and talk through this commercial. That's a great time to do that while I reset the video.
So, I mean, there's talking to someone, and maybe parents that don't understand too. Like, there's a lot of terminology I'm using, which I apologize, and I'll try to
No,
go
that's
through
what I'm here for. I'm the idiot
it.
that don't know what the heck you're talking about, and I'm going to ask tons of questions. So, okay, hang on. I'm going to play it. Then I'm going to hit so the folks can see it again. Here we go. Go ahead.
So when I say self-contained, so the majority of the day the children are in that room, elementary school, high school, but it doesn't mean that they're in that room the whole time. My old class, we would go out for lunch, we had recess. So this would be totally normal that they were in the hallway. They were transitioning to lunch. Schools have lunches, and he's probably in high school starting at, 10. I've seen it early as 10:30 in the morning. They have
Oh,
lunch.
really? God,
Oh,
man,
absolutely. Yeah,
man.
pretty early.
Okay.
So, but then there's also the possibility that the child, a term that we use in the community, is eloped. The the pair the paraprofessional took the Nintendo away, walked out of the room, and he just eloped. He just ran out of the room.
Oh,
That's kind
chased
of
her
like
out of the room. Okay, I see what you're saying.
chased her out of that room. But it looks like when she's walking away, he's not in hot pursuit right behind her. She's casually walking away. She might have, taken it and was walking away. But there's a lot of questions, and in my opinion, I feel that he eloped from the room to go out to get his Nintendo back.
Or to go after her because she had locked it in the desk or something. I don't know, because I don't really see it in. Hang on, we're gonna go black again. Sorry. Hang on. You know what I'm gonna do this time? Stand by. Let's keep us up. I'm gonna put you present mostly. Again, we're almost live here, folks. So that's the way it is.
Hashtag
Um,
almost live. Almost
yeah,
live.
almost live. Live to tape is what we used to call it when we would record on tape. Okay, so here we go. And go ahead. And I've slowed it down to 50% so it lasts a little longer. Unfortunately, now, okay, you said that she got chucked 7 feet. That was probably only about 3 or 4, but still, her head went body length. So,
Yeah. The
I'm
first
sorry. I totally. What were you getting ready to refer to again? The fact that he chased her out. Yeah, I'm sorry. This
well
is just
after
so mind blowing to me.
oh, I know, it is. It's she was walking. What I was saying before was like, I don't feel like she was walking with an urgency to remove herself from that situation. And it looks like she's just carrying a jacket. I mean, maybe the Nintendo's
Eh,
underneath it.
yeah, it don't look like he's trying to retrieve his toy. It looks like he's trying to kick her butt
Yeah.
straight
No.
up. And this is now. I'm assuming again, and I'm asking you as the professional. This is not the first time they've crossed paths issue wise. Most
uh,
likely.
No, I completely agree with that. Some of the students I work with, and I'm saying this in the absolutely most professional, nicest way possible, something could happen 3, 4 weeks ago, and some of them still do hold a grudge.
And
And
that was
that's why
just the straw that broke the camel's back and said, "All right, I'm not putting up with you anymore, B."
it absolutely could be. Or but see, and this is when we get into that we kind of discussed. Tom and I just we had some discussion before we started recording. This is where it's a double-edged sword. behavior like this is the extreme. Okay, this is the extreme. But behavior like this happens every day
Really?
with our special needs community.
Yeah. Now,
There was
okay. I don't mean to interrupt, but do you finish your train of thought? I'm sorry. I want. It just made me think something. Go ahead and
no,
finish,
no, no.
please.
Keep
No.
keep the. So again, I'm saying this is the extreme. I was a part of a self-contained room, not the one I spoke of before, which was K through 5, but I also worked in a K through 5 EBD room. EBD is emotional behavioral disorder, and it is not uncommon for a child to have an episode, to get really angry over something we would find silly. Maybe the teacher changed the thermostat. You know, there are little things, and this is also what I'm in school for now, to be a registered behavioral technician to deal with behaviors, things that are in their behavioral plan that you try to look for things that will trigger them or set them off. But honestly, you never know with some
Well,
types of
yeah, because
behaviors.
I'll watching some of the videos now. Of course, if you watch YouTube, every kid, every teenager, every 30-year-old says they have some form of autism. So I'm not sure if that's kind of a catch-all word because, okay, let me ask you, there's autism, there's what, Down syndrome, there's of the kind of
Asperger's.
Asperger's, which all have their different varieties. Because autism seems to have suddenly taken over, and now from a non-parent watching TV, not sure I'm believe everything I'm watching. Um, is it just phrase of the week, or because I know you said in your first one that 90% of your class is autistic? Is that just a new thing, or is it just a new way of labeling? Because I'll be honest with you, I was put in, as I mentioned, I was put in 3 different times. It was just called slow learning. So, sorry, I threw a lot in your lap just now.
Let me process that.
Yeah.
Even myself, I had learning disabilities growing up. I had study halls. I had an IEP myself. But for what autism means to me, with the students that I work with, to me, it's that they all have their own individual issues that they deal with. If it's learning, if it's sensory, emotional,
So is
it's just
autism a replacement for the word, and forgive me, everybody, an algorithm not using this slur, retardation? Is it just instead because retardation is looked at as now a bad word that now autism is an easier way to use it as an all encompassing?
no, I wouldn't say that. I personally, I just think it's really hard to put into words because I've met so many amazing children, students, and they are all individuals,
Okay,
and
so
they
autism is in fact like if it were Down syndrome or Asperger's or whatever, it is something that's just been recently newly identified or identified now as a more prevalent. Is that what you're
yes,
saying?
yes, and I think the umbrella of autism is huge with the different behaviors, but then you also dive in with what I'm learning now with the RBT things. Um, you get you have your emotional behavioral. It's a huge umbrella. But then, playing devil's advocate here, if I wasn't involved in the community and I had a child at this school and I saw this, I'd be pretty upset,
Dude,
you know?
first of all, I'm sorry, but what is this dude doing? This woman came in out of the blue, and this guy still hadn't sped up. So, I mean, I don't want to name anybody out, but is there reasons why, like, this lady is just yelling at everybody? Or, again, it's going to go black for a second. Forgive me. I'm going to bring it full. Okay, I'm sorry, everybody, to have to go through seeing the attack again. But I want to get to that, the different people. Like, this lady, she's obviously, well, maybe she's not. Maybe she is a student. But
Yeah, I don't see any type of identification or
this one's
badge on
running
her.
in like she's a teacher. This guy's strolling in like, hey, I got to get off the phone now. There's something going on. Meanwhile, there's somebody beating the living hell out of someone. And he still hasn't sped up. He's obviously got a uniform and a badge. It looks like a Marine. No, wait a minute. Oh, wait. You know what? Could that be a visitor? He's a Marine.
So I so schools nowadays around here, we all have resource officers that are from the local police that are, and if this is a high school, they most definitely have a
But look
resource
at this dude.
officer.
Look at
But
this dude. He's all in it. I mean, if he'd have been there at the beginning, I think this dude would have ended up beating the hell out of him. But look, I mean, he looks like he's like what you're calling a resource officer. I'm wondering if this dude I might be jamming on him too hard. He might have just been a visitor. Okay.
he could have been, because I didn't. I mean, not
Well, I see
from.
a badge here, but that's kind of somewhere you just clip it on, not.
Well, we do that. I wear mine on my lanyard, but a lot of my coworkers clip it onto
Okay,
their side.
okay.
So
I'm
I
jumping
think he's
around. I'm
not.
sorry. See, I got ADD
Oh no,
too. So, but there's just so much to like pull apart here. I mean, it's not just the attack; it's how all these people handle the attack, and should this even be going on? I mean, why is this kid not isolated? Because as violent. Yeah, can you see this as being the first time he was aggressive, in your opinion?
well, I mean, on a personal, I mean, I can't answer that,
Okay,
but
look at it. Okay, do they show these videos to you guys in classes and stuff? Is this how you figure out stuff, or
no, no, we do. We go through a lot of training throughout the year that we have to keep up on. I was trained. I have to renew it very soon. Back in my old school about nonviolent restraints, which I was going to bring up soon. How I would have handled it, but
yeah? Please, I'll cut you off
you
so much. I'd love you to finish a thought.
no, no. I mean, I it's this is a difficult situation, obviously, and you don't know. I can say I would have done this, or you could say you would have done that. If you were a visiting parent there, would you have intervened? But I also think because we have to have so much training in the restraints, and that's not something you do lightly. That's not something you do normally. That some of them might have been nervous to put their hands on the student, and this is again just my opinion. But then it's kind of like a fight or flight thing, you know.
And you have to be careful. I don't, because I don't have to answer anybody. Forgive me. I got to say what's going on here. We've got a black male attacking a white woman. So therefore, there could be a racial motivation here, because God, I can only imagine if you're a special needs kid, hearing all the confusion between, because I hear rational people saying irrational things on both sides of the coin from a racial standpoint. So therefore, I can only, if you're having trouble understanding things to then have a racial element involved. There's that. And then I can assume, since I don't see a black person except for this gentleman involved, are they afraid to grab him because he's a black kid? I mean, I don't mean to cause trouble, and please, comments, go ahead, attack me all you want, but uh, we're dealing with some really scary times now, even in
and
our
I
words.
I don't disagree with you. But yes, there's with everything going on in today's times, maybe that could be a case. But I think it came out of nowhere. I think they might have been kind of in shock. If it was me, I would have done my best to restrain the student nonviolently with the training that I have. But you never. Those are all issues that they could have been thinking about. But again, I want to reiterate the fact that
Yeah, because I
maybe
mean,
some of
this
them
dude's
were.
jumping right on it. This dude dove in like
Yeah.
a pit bull. This lady, she's almost a goddess, man. I mean, she could have gotten her ass beat hard. So I'm sorry. Okay, instead of all these guesses, because I'm realizing that I'm setting you up for a lot of guesswork. What can be and should be discussed from a parent matters standpoint? Let me put it that way. Maybe that's an easier way to approach this.
I feel like that's almost harder than all the other questions.
Oh, shit.
I
Okay, I'm a parent of a
no, I
kid in
got you.
your
No,
school, and I just saw this video, and I'm calling up. And I'm going, do I need to pull my kid out of there?
very, very valid question. I would say no, no, you don't have to pull your child out of the school. Again, to the untrained eye, and again, this is extra. This is the extreme, absolutely. But these behaviors are common in some of the EBD children, in some forms of autism. When I was in the self-contained room, I was attacked a few times with children came at me with scissors, pencils. I mean, pencils really not going to hurt me, but the
The
intentions
heck it
were
won't,
were
dude. No, I just pencil stuck deep enough. You ever see Rambo movies? No, I'm just kidding. Um, you know,
that there was and there was a few times that even in elementary, the children were almost I'm a big guy. I don't know if you can tell,
I
but
mean, you said you
but
had a chair thrown at you. That can cause some pretty
oh,
damn deep
I
damage.
have I have had numerous chairs thrown at me, tables flipped over.
Wow.
There was one time a child, we had to evacuate the room, and he sat in the room, and the little windows on the doors, like the windows, like kind of like that, and he took the bottom of the chair and started smashing the window to break it instead of cracking. And I went and grabbed duct tape and put it over, just so it wouldn't shatter into the hallway. Then I actually went in and de-escalated and talked to him, and it worked out. But again, these
Wow.
this is the extreme, but this behavior happens every day in these types of classrooms.
So you guys make
And
like 100 grand a year to do this, huh?
oh, I wish, I wish.
That's a different show. Sorry, starting a new
we
fire.
don't we don't
Okay, let's
we
get back
don't
to
we
this.
don't do it we don't do it for the money. But
Right.
I keep saying the untrained eye.
No,
This
I'm
doesn't.
the untrained eye right now. So
Yeah,
no, that's fine. I'm not offended
this
myself. And if anybody else
as
is, F you.
and
Sorry.
from so from what I read, thank God she has injuries from this. Obviously, she had a concussion from what I
Yeah,
read.
what is the report? How she's sitting up there? I mean,
That
obviously she's going to
she's
have injuries.
yep. I That's my fault. I didn't. I just read what it said today, and I think she's out of the hospital. There are some other injuries that she's sustained, but I'm not saying it's a part of the job, because no one should be assaulted and hurt like she was, but that's why we're trained in the restraint in the ways we can restrain the children. This is why we have behavior plans to understand what might trigger them, how we, can de-escalate. But again, that's the extreme, and parents, I will completely be concerned, like you said. Am I pulling my child out of the school tomorrow because this happens? Again, I say no, but again, this is the extreme.
It's 10 o'clock in the morning. There looks like there's almost no one out. So I'm wondering. Now I see that's a phone. Maybe she did. Now, okay, why didn't he attack her in the classroom? I mean, again, we're guessing, and I'm asking you to make guesses, but in your situation, what would have set up her, first of all, turning your back on somebody that you're arguing with? Because I guess he didn't like. I don't know. Would he just be dead quiet? And then if she, why would she leave the room if this is, that those are, I got so many questions. Why would she leave the room with him in there? Why is 10 o'clock in the morning? So class, I'm assuming, is either just started or it's just started. There's no one in the hallway. Um, Why didn't he attack her in the class? La 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 la. Uh, Anything that you can jump on that series of questioning that's like fruitful to the world?
So all behaviors are different. I would call the taking the Nintendo away, we call that an antecedent, right? The antecedent comes before the behavior. That sets the behavior into motion.
Okay, so he came in with it and he had played it before and she took it away pre him getting in trouble. Is that what you're saying? Maybe? Maybe.
So so
Again, we're all
so
guessing here, folks.
oh, all guessing, all opinion. From what I read, she took it away. They're not specific about how long the time was.
Sure.
What I'm guessing is she took it, and again, she's not running away with urgency, running away from this child. So
Yeah, she's
maybe she took
casually
it.
walking out of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
room.
she's just,
So
and
would
I
that
mean,
mean that there's an assistant in the room so she's not worried about leaving the class alone or something like that?
so absolutely, yep.
Could
So
she have
they're
been taking it to the principal and telling him, "Okay, I'm taking this to the principal. I'll be right back. You can take it. You can pick it up at the end of the day because you've been bad with it several times, Billy." Does that make sense in this situation?
from my perspective, not really.
What do
If I
you
have
Okay, let me ask this, okay, then from your because I'm completely just spitballing. What do you think happened here?
in my opinion, and
Completely your opinion.
I will get into this why I'm saying this in a moment.
Okay.
In my opinion, she might have just, instead of, maybe you pick your battles, right? You pick your battles with behavior, and some children, if you do something to this child, if you speak to this child in some way, they're going to get upset, they're going to get angry. So again, in my
He's a
opinion,
big dude too. I'd be careful
oh
about
yeah,
what
he's
I said to him,
absolutely.
you know?
So, and I'm really glad she's doing better, and so this is nothing
Yeah.
negative towards her.
Dude, she took enough rabbit punches to
Oh
be not
man.
even knowing her name anymore.
So, but, and we don't know this child's behavior. And it just says he was in special needs.
Yeah, it doesn't the article doesn't specify any of his
And I think
issues
that
or anything.
might fall under HIPAA laws and everything like that, that they
Oh,
can't
well,
say
yeah,
anything
yeah,
about
because
this.
he is 17, right?
I mean, I would guess with, and I've seen the behavior on all different scales. I would guess that's an emotional behavioral disorder. I could be wrong, but getting back to, maybe he pulled out the Nintendo in class. You're obviously not allowed to have cell phones, video games, anything like that. There are times in class we have free time where they can get on our iPads and do fun things, and look what they want to. That's appropriate. But
Read Pizza
I've
Panda?
I, yeah, they could go on and read Pizza Panda. We haven't talked much about it. We'll talk about Pizza Panda. So from what I've worked, children that I have worked with, this situation might have happened if I just walked over, he's playing the Nintendo, and I just take the Nintendo away from the child. And then he gets really upset. He might sit there, think about it for a minute. Again, the antecedent, the before, is me taking the Nintendo away,
Okay,
and then the
forgive me.
behavior happened.
I do not know the what antecedent.
The antecedent is what comes before the behavior. So something set off the behavior was the student attacking the pair. So something had to happen to set this off, which is obviously, from what we're told, is the Nintendo being taken away. So I believe that maybe she, instead of, and maybe she did, we don't know. Maybe she told him 17 times, put the Nintendo away, put the Nintendo away. But from behaviors that I've seen, if you do something abruptly like that, that could be the antecedent coming before the behavior to set him off, to make him upset. But you know what? Maybe she did. Maybe she asked him 10 times and she had to remove the Nintendo.
Okay,
But
can
I'm
I
not
I
sure.
gotta interject with something because of what you just said, and this, I gotta be careful about how I say this because I don't wanna, uh, cause out issues outside of the work job. But, I recently just did a job where a person came out to be the other camera person, supposedly qualified person, and having trouble operating his camera, so we got switched. Long and the short of it, half of the reason is because he was on his phone. Someone told him get off his phone. Now, that's a problem with everybody. So it's not just kids are all on their phone. We got 90-year-olds. And I don't mean to interrupt on this situation, but the strange thing is he went into his backpack and pulled out a Nintendo Switch, put his phone on his thigh, and proceeded to play his Switch because they told him to put the phone away. And then, literally, when the person, this is a 40-year-old man, came out and told this man to he cannot play the game while we're in rehearsals. And the look on his face was really like kind of like confusion. So again, when I mentioned the racial thing, and I love I love my phone too, but I am old enough to know how to put it down, and I love video games, but I know how to play them. Um, and I'm not trying to say I'm any better or any worse than anybody or a generational thing, but the devices are really cumbersome. And I can imagine then now you add the element of special needs to that confusion. I literally had an adult that did not understand that he couldn't be playing with his phone. Oh, and by the way, when he put his Switch away, he pulled his phone out later and started playing chess. So this is a broad spectrum issue. Not only the fact that our children all want to be influencers now and not doctors and lawyers, but the devices are an issue. And I didn't mean to completely sidetrack you, but I wanted to bring up the fact that even in other real world environments, devices aren't being properly used, and I don't know if they ever will. So, going on that to put you back on the track instead of this field I threw you off into, again, where do you take it from here? What do you do when you even have adults that are, do you like like you said, there's playtime, there's time to relax and chill, so you can't ban them from bringing it. Just like with GPT chat, and I know, man, off on another direction. They're banning it while others are teaching how to use it. Um, Now you add special needs to this. How do
So
you get through the day, man?
so we have in all our classrooms, we have iPads, we have Surfaces, um, and we do a lot of our work where I am now on the iPads. We have, I don't want to say the different websites, but they could be, I will if you want to sponsor our show. They're really great. And we do a lot of work on them, and we do a lot of great work on them. So the technology and the iPads and the laptops are with these students a lot, right? And they all bring their cell phones to school. But in all, uh, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm speaking for my county. The rule is there are no cell phones in class. In my school, they leave them in their lockers in the morning. They get them at dismissal. And then the kids would say after school for aftercare, we let them play on their phones. We let them play on their own iPads or whatnot. But the iPads also for some of our students that are nonverbal, they use them for communicate. I mean, the technology is wonderful. They use them to communicate. Some of the nonverbal, well, partially verbal children that I work with they're kind of like iPhones and they type in, what they want to say. It's great. But, so I'm
And
assuming
wait, I
here.
want to interrupt again. Sorry. You get into an emergency situation where somebody comes in with a, shall we say, force multiplier, if you know what I mean. Um,
Mm,
you got to have that phone so you can reach out to the world and say, we got a bad person here. So we
yeah.
can't do
Oh
like a
no.
Kanye concert where at the door you have a zip baggie that
And they
doesn't
put them in.
allow in or out thing, and they have to lock everything down because under a lockdown situation, somebody needs to communicate. It's like you told me one time when I was saying with you that you got to put your phone in a locker. You can't even have your phone in the classroom, right?
That that was at a different school that I worked. That was at a private school. But yeah, I they told us that they
Well, how
even
do you
wanted
play
my
your Switch? I'm just kidding.
in the corner when no one's looking. I play Mario in the no, but I have my phone on me at my current school. But yeah, no, the children are told to put their phones in their lockers in the morning, and they do. We have radios, we have our phones, so in case of an emergency, and we also have proper lockdown procedures we do once a month.
I'm
But
taking in
yeah,
this direction because we can't.
well, you
I
can't
mean,
say yeah,
we can't
absolutely.
say what happened. I don't even know if we can adequately analyze the video
Well,
because we don't know the situation. I don't know. We don't know if that was a visiting Marine. We don't know if on the way out he said something to her. And again, I don't understand why he didn't attack her in the class.
yeah,
Why is it in the hallway? It's just
it's
so.
there's
I mean,
so many questions, and my heart goes out to that lady. I mean, we're pairs. We 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 don't do it for the money. We do it because we
well,
love the students, and but
that's good
that's
timing for you to say that because I have a surprise video for you where
okay.
a teacher didn't do the right thing. So we don't even know that. I mean, again, no casting, but we don't know if she didn't say something snarky.
Mm,
This is why.
all right, let's see.
Stand by. Let me get this set. It's going to go to black again as usual, and I'm going to play.
New at 10, a former principal with the Fresno Unified School District is facing charges of cruelty to a minor. A video surfaced showing him shoving a special needs student so hard he fell to the ground. The school placed Brian Volhart on administrative leave, but he resigned and got another
I
Wow,
job
mean,
at a nearby school
boom,
district.
dude.
Now,
wow,
that district
and that's the
also put
principal.
Volhart on leave.
Principal.
Police say
Now
charges
look, I mean,
will
the
be
kid
filed.
aggressively attacked. I mean, he jumped. He didn't attack. I mean, he aggressively got in the
New at
dude's
10, a former
face.
principal with the
But
Fresno Unified School District is facing
He's
charges of
he's a grown
cruelty to a
adult, and
minor.
obviously
A
that
video
is a
surfaced showing
child.
him
here,
shoving a special needs student so hard he fell to the ground. The school placed Brian Volhart on administrative leave, but he resigned and got another job at a nearby school district. Now, that district also put Volhart on leave. Police say charges will be filed.
he did touch him, but I mean, not that bad. So now the only reason why I share that because I found it when I did the search, and because that leads us to we can't analyze the other video. That
Yeah,
is obvious. The kid approached him, touched him with a finger. Should have, like the other lady tried. You saw her. She looked like more like someone that would be in that class. She's like, hey, back up a little bit. And as the kid went to back up, boom, fist in the chest or open handed in the chest. That is an obvious case where we could say, dude screwed up. Dude's not supposed to be what he's doing. Shouldn't be around special needs kids. Probably should be at best a high school football coach. So maybe somebody can stand up to him back if a teacher at all. That's an obvious case in my situation. I mean, I haven't let
there's
you
a
talk. I'm
lot.
sorry.
There's a lot of things wrong with that. Uh, First of all, the child absolutely poses no threat to that principal, but whatsoever. Second of all, he was probably mouthing off to him, but
Oh, well, you
I
can see the kid walks
yeah,
up and
yeah,
puts his
oh yeah,
finger in his face. And you know what?
but
I would not be surprised if that looked like um, teacher. And that's also the reason why I brought this up, because that looks to me, and again, the blind observer, as maybe kid got his game taken away, given to the principal, see the principal after school, kid sees the principal at lunch, walks up and says, "Give my stuff back." Boom, chest pump. Again,
still,
guessing, but still, the kid aggressively approached, the teacher handled it wrong. The other way is so hard to figure out because, again, sorry, folks, we'll play it in the corner while we're talking, but go ahead.
well, that whole video from the principal on that was 100% out of line. There's no way around that. I won't repeat, I won't say it, but on a daily basis, I wouldn't, I wouldn't say daily basis, but I've had some of the worst things said to me, horrible thing, but the child was angry, and you know what? 5 minutes later, normally everything's fine. You
You know
can't,
what?
if
I just realized this girl, I don't mean to cut you off, but this girl right here, this young lady, uh, that's on a radio. So she's obviously, I'm assuming she's one of the, like you said, teacher assist. She came from the exact same angle right after it went down. Hang on, we're going to black. We're going back into it again. And watch this now. Again, I apologize. We got to see the attack, but we have to see what happens right after the attack as well. Now, look, he charges. Boom, she's hit, but then now watch down here this time. So take your attention off that. This one, whoever she is, she's just, but this one, that looks like probably either another teacher or, as I said, the reason she was willing to leave the room is because you wouldn't leave the room unless there's somebody else attending the students in the class, right?
no, absolutely not. No, you never leave
You
your
don't just
children
walk out
unattended.
of the class with the class full of kids,
No.
especially when you got an empty hall. It's obviously we're in class right now. Pretty
I would, I
obvious.
yeah, yeah. And again, backtracking, I would say, in my opinion, this child eloped, as we call it, eloped from class, just walked out. He saw the pair leaving. But again, it's just, and that's why I feel strongly about what I'm saying is there's no sense of urgency. She's walking just, and I don't see the Nintendo unless
I'm
she's holding it
thinking that
under.
she just told him he'll get it at the end. Again, guessing, and again, I'm the one that can guess because I'm not gonna get in trouble for it. Except for some bad comments. Um, she probably locked it in her desk and told him you're gonna get it at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Left the room for some completely other reason. And because his mind is focused on game, it's like you're not leaving without giving. I'm assuming right now, maybe if it was locked in the desk, he's like making sure she's not leaving without him giving it back.
yeah. No, totally
Or
possible.
you lied to me. You said you were going to give it back and now you're leaving. I mean, could she have gone? Okay, can I ask a question? Do you guys ever take breaks? Like, in other words, you got a class going.
I was just, you read my mind.
Okay,
I was
cool.
just going to say
Hey, I said something
the way
smart.
that could be me walking out to go take my quick lunch break, right? Just very casual, leaving the classroom, So yeah, yeah,
Okay,
we
so
get
you
our
guys rotate so the classes can keep going without
yes,
having to stop down so you guys can eat too.
yes, yep. So the way that my
Please
school
explain
works,
your day that way. Maybe that's something that could help us understand the situation a little, maybe. I don't know.
yeah. Well, so if this is, I will, but again, if this is a self-contained room, they're in that room for the majority. I mean, they don't rotate. They're not going to history sign. What I do I have another pair that works with me. We have a homeroom, and we stay with our children as we rotate into the other two classrooms in our little wing of our school. But if this is a self-contained, which I'm assuming it is, they're in that room the majority of the day. So
So
maybe
do you think this is a self-contained school, or is it a
no,
mixed?
no, this is a regular high school,
Okay.
uh,
Okay.
elementary. So and it's not an unusual thing to have a self-contained room. I'm pretty sure the majority of schools have them now.
Not like a separate building or wing. Like, I gotta say, my whole school would have been perfect because we had a series of buildings that were connected with a breezeway. So therefore, one entire building could have been. But in our case, there was a special needs or a slow learning because we weren't treated like anything but
Well, that's
retardation people. There was like in the main building, the English, there was a slow class. In the math, there was a slow class. So they weren't all into one building. They were still spread out amongst the campus. So, like we're talking about, there wouldn't be a self-contained area, you know.
so that I'm gonna save this topic for another show. But when we started in my old school, when we started getting portables because we had so many
Oh
kids.
God, portables. Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
that's
whole
a whole
different
nother, that's a
topic.
whole
We
nother.
hated those damn trailers.
They started putting more of the self-contained units outside, you know. But what I worked was, in the main school, we had kind of like a wing almost. But where I am now,
Okay, so
it's
back to
all
the self-contained. I'm sorry, I got you again. Tangent. Sorry, tangent Tom.
hashtag tangent Tom.
So this situation,
Yes.
what can we gather from it? What can we do? What do we do? What do we discuss?
I think this is going to be a milestone in how all staff in public schools are going to be trained for ESC students and nonviolent restraints. And there
Yeah,
needs
like
to be
don't
an
you guys have blankets like the I know I've seen on Amazon and I've heard people on YouTube talking about, when they're freaking out, they put a weighted blanket on. So would that be something you would throw
it
over this kid
no
to
so
chill the situation?
no it's it's not that
I mean, what
easy.
the hell do you do? Okay, you're this lady. What the hell do you do? He is violently punching her. Kidney strikes, head strikes. This kid looks like a friggin' MMA fighter. What do you do?
So I've been punched, kicked, more times, way more times than I can count, and nothing remotely as extreme as this, obviously.
I mean, look, he's punched, he kicked her exactly where he was punching. I mean, this dude is doing it with focus. This is
He,
not just okay. I'm gonna be straight up here. I mean, I had my share of being a rude kid with the kids because I didn't feel like I belonged there. And I lashed back not at the teacher, I lashed back at the easy kid to hit. So problem, punch him, hit him, whatever. And that was not how I got attacked back. You get attacked back like this kind of crap, not focused. I mean, this
I've
dude
never,
came
I've,
in
I've, I've worked
trained.
even with children, students I work with now. There's some that tower over me. you know, again, I'm relatively a big
Well, there
guy.
I'm
Yeah.
all about the fact that growth hormones and stuff like that makes it into the meat. And, yeah, but you know what? You know, tangent tangent time. They said that we went from
On the
giants to
Patreon, we'll do.
short people after the plagues, and then growing back big again. So we don't know that it's because of food or whatever. But as you said, there are some kids that because you're dealing with this age group, which that is a real, I think that's why it really, and psychologically, I'm now diagnosing you. I think this is why this affected you as much because this
Yeah.
is the age group you're dealing with. You could have had this 17-year-old kid in your class.
And this is my first year where it's always been elementary. But my
Does
ESC
this
background
scare
was in
you
elementary.
away? I mean, is it time now for you to go, hey, maybe I should go back to kindergarten?
No, 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 not at all. Because I've seen not as violent as this, but I've seen plenty of violent behavior. I've seen property destruction, in the time that I've been at my school now. But we have amazing people and that's what I'm in school now is to learn to deal with the behaviors, how to safely restrain the students, how to de-escalate the situation. And I mean, but again,
How are you trained to tackle something this severe? What would you have done?
so let's go back a handful of years ago when I was trained in the non-restraints, the non-violent restraints and everything. If that was me at my school, I mean, and I'm just speculating because in the heat of the moment happening, I would have tried to, and that guy's bigger than me.
Yeah.
He's taller than I am. The first thing I would have done would to try to do the nonviolent restraints and just try to hold. I mean, and I don't
What do you
even think
mean by
it would.
nonviolent restraints? Please explain that, because that's a wide open. That's like I said, that blanket to me would be a nonviolent restraint. What
So
is
so that's
nonviolent
what.
restraints?
So the first technique I was trained in, I believe it's called CPI. Don't quote me. It was a
We
technique that
are. Go ahead.
no, don't do it. We would take the child's arms and we would hold them behind them, just kind of like a hugging procedure, just to hold them back. And then if if it was more extreme, there was actually a technique we'd have to sit down. We would try to find something to sit on and then actually wrap your legs around them to hold them in.
Well, that's kind of almost what I'm seeing here with the Marine. Looked like he kind of put an arm under his arm and slid him back. And then these two young ladies are doing talk, chilling him. I don't know.
Well, they're obviously trying just trying to de-escalate and talking to him. But if it was me and I saw a fellow coworker being pummeled, I would have just I think when I say the nonviolent restraint, like that's something that's not your go-to thing.
I mean,
That's not the
okay, in
first
that
thing you're going to try
situation,
to
this
do.
violent, would you throw your body on him to try to non-violently get him off of her without getting struck?
I don't on I don't know. That would have to be a judgment call, and I really feel that maybe some of the employees were just saying, I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be I don't want to get sued. I don't want to hurt the child. I don't.
And
So
he
it
might
was.
have, again, we're assuming, but he might have a past where people are like, oh, I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah,
So
no,
I'm not
and
getting in it.
he could have a and there very well could have an issues with behavioral. I mean, there's a very good chance, again, my opinion, that if this child's showing this type of violent behavior, then that it's going to be on his behavior plan of violence and how to
Behavior
de-escalate
plan.
that.
What's that? What's behavior plan?
Just ways that the behavior plan is trying to change the behavior. So let's say Billy has a hair pulling problem, and this is all things I'm learning now. So again, I don't want to be, I don't want to be quoted, but there's ways
Yeah, but
that in
we're
the
learning.
behavior.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Is it allowed for us to learn with you? I mean,
Oh yeah, no, that's
please. I mean,
so. From one of the behavior, and I look at them a little bit. I'm not the teacher at my school. I'm a para, but a lot of in the behavior plan saying ways that we work to try to you want to cause extinction for the behavior, right? So the pulling the hair, we have things implemented to try to reduce it and eventually make it extinct. So I would almost guarantee that some type of violence or aggression is in this, in his plan. But
There's lots of
I
standing
just,
around discussing the situation right now, I can notice, while two young ladies are doing. You know what you're talking about? That's the assistant. This sounds like the role that you pretty much take
well,
if she is.
that looks like the resource officer right there.
Which, her or
No,
him?
about
This
on
guy.
my left.
This
Nope,
guy
my left.
on your left. Okay.
The one he kind of looks like he has a badge on his the bald individual walking over.
Oh, the cop. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just see him as a cop. See, I would think this dude with the glasses on his head would be like the in-house. This is the guy that comes in that has been called in,
No, yeah.
because I know
So
Flagler's very small, and I imagine the police station is not very far from
I
this.
would I would guarantee that's the resource. That is an officer that is at that school for the
Okay.
day.
And
Yeah.
all these people, this guy looks like he's principal-ish looking, or this guy looks like the coach, the football team,
So I would
Not
go out on a
labeling
limb,
people, just assuming here. I'm allowed to assume. I'm just
but
the producer
unless they're
dude.
on their lunch breaks or whatnot, I would imagine most of those are administrative people that they can have access to, because you can't, again, like we said earlier, teachers that cannot leave, they're not going to leave their students by
Well,
themselves
now
in the
you said
classroom.
resource officer. Who the guy in the red shirt was the dude that obviously took command of the what do they call it? The attacker.
Mm.
And then I assume the cops were here. Let's get back
Well,
to
I think because I saw two officers, so I would assume they're both. I mean, some schools have that I've known that had up to three resource officers because
wow.
oh yeah.
Changed so much. I mean, from when we didn't even have any cops. But
No,
anyway,
I would never.
all right. Well, any other? We've gone about an hour now. So,
Well,
anything
wow.
else that we can
We
get
may
out
have to
of
make this a
this, or
two-parter. No. It's a very unfortunate circumstance, and again, that that pair didn't deserve that, and she was. No one's allowed to have the Nintendo in class, and she was probably just doing what she was told to do, but again, it
30 years?
like 30 is for a child that I say child, 17. It's I will be very interested to see how this plays out because I think this is going to set a precedence on how things like this in the future are handled and how I behaviors that I deal with every day would shock some people. Again, not this action, not the assault that happened here, but behaviors I deal with on a daily basis would shock some people and be like, I can't believe they said that to you. Well, I can't believe they did that. It's completely normal to us, and we know what they're going through, and we work to help them, and we work with the behaviors, and we try to, you know, change the behaviors if we can. But this is huge, and again, I hope she recovers fine, and that child is going to go through a really hard time, and but then it's going to come down to, was he in control of his emotions? Did he know what he was doing? At the end of that article in the USA Today, it said when he was being escorted off by the police, I don't think it's not on the video, he started spitting at her and saying he was saying other things to her.
Oh, so
So
not feeling any remorse, feeling like now it's her fault that he's in more trouble,
yeah,
almost.
yeah. And just a side note for back when I first started working with the ESC community, I had a child that was like that. That would do not that, but would do things and property, destruction of property and try to hurt people. And then it was like a switch, and then he was very remorseful, And then there's other children that I've worked with that show no remorse. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I think we'll come back, we'll rebound around to it at another point and talk about what the outcome. But it's gaining national attention, and I really thought it was something we should discuss.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, like I said, I was going to call you and we were going to chat on what we were going to do next. And you hit me with this. And we obviously didn't come up with any answers here. There are nothing but more questions. Can we afford to isolate people that are violent without incarceration? Can we help with the digitization of life and not lose our souls? I mean, there's so many questions in this that I don't know if we'll ever get answers to, but
But
again, that's please no, go ahead, James.
no, and there's no positive side to this, but I think that this could begin to spread awareness to the other teachers in all our public schools about, and I said this earlier, about more training, more understanding of our special needs community. And I would love to know what everyone thinks about this. If you're a parent, we call it's Parent Matters. So if you're listening, you probably have kids, but if you don't, it just, we would love your feedback and just to hear all aspects of this. And maybe you agree what we're saying. Again, we didn't offer any advice or anything. We just kind of gave
I
our
don't think
opinions
there's
on it.
advice is there advice that can be given?
No,
It's
no.
just bringing awareness to the situation, and how would you have dealt with it in your scenario is really all we can. Open the lines of communication. The reason for the show. To me, it looks like both of those scenarios were training. Even the
Yeah.
bad principal, if he'd had better training, maybe he'd have known how to breathe,
I think
step back, and not done a punch in the kid's chest.
I think, and
He's
if you're
just the
listening
wrong
to
guy
this,
in the wrong job. I mean,
absolutely. That was the first time I saw that video,
and that's why I
and
waited to show it to you. I wanted to get your visceral reaction.
I would love to down the road, revisit that, because that was extremely inappropriate. It doesn't matter what the child was saying to him, because again, I've been told horrible things. I've heard people say to my coworkers horrible things, and we just, oh, okay, that's inappropriate.
And if he came at him with a piece of wood, I could almost see that. But that would be like, and besides that, he was like,
oh yeah, no,
big. I mean,
there's no explanation.
grab the girl and
no
pull it in
excuse.
front. No, I'm just kidding.
No excuse. No excuse.
Yeah. So, but they are both training.
Yeah.
And because now again, assuming, I would assume that during training is also when they are analyzing whether you're right for this role, right? I mean, it isn't just because like, hey, I want to teach special needs, I take the classes, I get to do it, right? Don't they also kind of assess you while you're training?
Not really, but you're not.
Wow, really? Okay.
Yeah, you're again, my opinion. But you're not off on that, because there's definitely, maybe the word is like a shelf life. So if you're thinking about getting into this and you're going through the different types of training and you learn the training, I mean, I can train for hours and hours and hours, but if I'm not dedicated and I'm not taking it seriously and I'm not ready to endure what's in the real world, what's going to happen, so you can take all the training you want. Anyone can take the training. but the people that aren't, and I'm not saying, I mean, maybe it's not for you. Maybe that's what you thought you wanted to do. Like I fell into this by accident. I was still in preschool, and they asked me to. This is a whole other story for another time, but they asked me as a favor to go help in the self-contained room, and I did it. And it was the first few months. I had no idea what I was doing. I was confused. I was angry. Why don't I know? Why can't I help these kids? And then I learned, and it's training and experience, but definitely if they're not if they're not in the right place, the people, and that's not saying it's a bad thing. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot goes into it, and it's draining too. But I wouldn't say that they weed you out in training, but I would say that after people that aren't cut out for this get into the field for a little while, they will eventually know that they're not cut out for it. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, just it's not for them.
Right. Well, not everything's for everyone. Um, I, I asked that because of the simple fact that I had an ex-member of a family that decided after his medical education he wanted to take care of old people because they don't complain, and if you do it wrong, they just die, and you don't really get to notice it. So I was wondering if some people like that principal finds their way into a classroom with kids that may not be able to challenge them, and the reason why I'm going this, because if there's another special needs teacher that's a little bit more abusive in their speaking behavior, even, could that not provoke this kid to then go to his next class, or what you said, like a lot of these are self-contained, um, and take it out on the next teacher?
Possibly, but
Again, there's just so many scenarios we could come
no,
up with
no,
here.
there's so many, and I mean, and we talked about this in the first episode. That maybe it was as simple as moving the child out of the classroom, and you
Right.
can you can move them around, but there are bonds and relationships we build with our students, and I treat all my students the same. Some you're gonna get along with better than others, obviously. I'm not saying we have favorites or whatnot, but you have connections with some of them. But you treat them all with the same way, and you treat them with respect. That principal had no respect for that child, and again, it doesn't matter what he was saying to him at all. But again, it could have been a long road leading up to that.
Gotcha. Well, again, folks, this episode was not to answer questions, it was to provoke conversation. And James, I'm so happy that you came up with this to discuss, because while it's so far from a happy situation, and I hope it does provoke more learning, more training, more ways to deal with these things. But if nothing else, I said at the top of the show, that's the reason for a need for a show like this, I think. So we can discuss these things and maybe grow together. So,
No,
anything to say, James, before we wrap this up?
just a few quick things. Please reach out to us. Both of us would love to hear your thoughts on this. Uh, please hit us up in the email or the voicemail, and maybe we can
Facebook
get
group, that's a big way
Facebook
to get
group.
connected to us.
Absolutely, Parent Matters on Facebook.
And
We'd love for you to.
I'll post a link to this Discord in the Facebook group. So therefore there's another way to find your way to the Parent Matters Discord. So anyway, okay, well, James,
Tom, thank you so much. I love how this was just kind of like an organic thing we just threw together. So, I apologize, didn't have all my facts, but we're growing, and hopefully you'll grow with us. And hopefully we can get a discussion going on this. And just one more time, we hope that paraprofessional is okay, and it sounds like she's doing better. But it's just such a tough issue, and it's a tough job. And just a thank you for all our teachers, our supporting staff, our paras, our administration. Teaching is not easy, and
yeah, and like you said, I mean, she's the one that took the severe beating, but the kid is going to go through a life of hell now. So
his life is going to
nobody
be
got out of this one clean.
no, his life is going to be changed forever. So, all right,
Wow.
Tom. Well, thank you so much, and thank you all for joining us.
And James, thank you for helping conceive this idea and bringing this situation forward. And ladies and gentlemen, James said it best. Get on the group, get on the Discord, send us an email, call that number. Let us know what you think about this situation, how you would handle it. Does this make you want to homeschool your kid now? Does this make you want to ask more questions? Because I think questions are important. Or does it just make you mad? Let us know. Until next time, as always, parents matter. And we hope you join us for this and all the shows to come. Take care, everybody.
Let's get together and educate. Let's keep it simple, don't complicate. Let's save our future and educate. Let's save our future before it's too late.